Welcome to Truth is Freedom. I'm Dennis Cummins, pastor of Experience Church. So glad that you're with us today. Today, we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence and some of the agenda, what we see as maybe a potential agenda with the government and maybe, from my perspective, biblically, what we're seeing with the end times. Because we know the end times, there's a one world government, one world leader, and typically with a one world leader, there is one world control, and there's an economy that's surrounding that with control. And so my guest today is Mark Herr. He's with the Center of Self-Governance. Thank you so much, Mark, for being with us.
Thanks, Pastor, for having me again.
We had a great conversation talking about the DVE bill, the Domestic Violent Extremist bill that is being put forth again by Attorney General Bob Ferguson. And we have another bill which you brought to my attention, and I appreciate that so much. And this is House Bill, guys, put that up, House Bill 1934. And this is an act relating to establishing an artificial intelligence task force. And this opens Pandora's box. Okay. Before we jump into this bill and talk about potential intent, I want to take this from a biblical perspective of what we see in the Revelation in times, that we know that there's going to be the Antichrist, which is a physical being, physical person that is leading the majority of the world. That's going to be a one world economy then. Nobody's going to buy or sell without a specific mark, what the mark of the beast. And I don't want to conject into any of those details beyond, those are scriptural facts that we know. What we also know is that technology is growing faster. We know that, the Google exec that was over the AI program, he resigned and he came out and he said, this is really bad. We need to put a stop to it. But the genie's out of the bottle. Artificial intelligence is only going to increase. It's only going to be more real, more controlling. We know that China is a surveillance state, and you are judged on your social score. So if you're a good citizen, you can travel, you can buy things. If you're a bad citizen, you are locked down. We see 15-minute cities that are being proposed in Europe. We're also worried about carbon credits and blah, blah, blah. So all these things are dovetailing into this, but they have to have a system to control it and monitor it. And so we have artificial intelligence. Last thing I want to say, one expert just stated that in one of the most recent AI conferences, Edward Snowden was there too. They stated that an expert said that within 3 years, artificial intelligence should be at the point where it will be at human intelligence, meaning that it can then write its own code and continue to improve on its own. So, 3, 6 years, whatever. So here we are, and we have this put at the forefront here at the Washington State. What do you say about this, Mark Herr?
So we have been, for the last 14 years, in our self-governance training, talking about the meaning of the word person. Very important word, because again, in our previous section, we're talking about definitions. And this word person, what does it mean? Pro-life, abortion folks, they fight over this a lot. When is a human viable, and all those kinds of things. Yeah. Well, the reason this is such an important discussion is because since the 12th, 11th century, corporations have been considered legal persons. And there's reasons for it. But the point isn't about the justification. It's been considered a person.
Yeah, straw man person.
Yes. Yeah. Now, you brought up the Bible. And so the Bible, the children of Israel at the base of Mount Sinai created a golden calf and worshiped it as if it was alive.
Yeah.
So it's not a new concept that inanimate things can have a personhood in the minds of certain cultures. Why is it so important to today is that we are seeing calls to give rivers, for example, the Klamath River in California, personhood, or a dog in a Connecticut state court, the right to have advocacy in court, or a primate in Florida recognized for its human rights.
Wow.
So when we talk about animals in nature, of course, that goes down the really weird rabbit hole, and people just kind of look at you like, what are you talking about? Well, this is a thing. It's a specific religion. We call it animism, and it means that it's the belief that humans are not apex, that we are in a parliament of beings, and the other beings, their non-human rights should be recognized. So that's why you see that with animals and nature, and it's going to become more prevailing in the next few years.
This goes back to Romans 1, too, because if you study the death of civilizations, the first thing that has to happen is you have to kill God. And then the second thing is you then have to redefine womanhood, manhood, and then you start worshiping the creation and deifying creation above man. And so those are the top two things that have to happen. And we're seeing that in America. And this is the witness and the testimony of what we're seeing. So
animism is the religion that guides that doctrine. That's why we see policies like that coming forward. So it's important to be a part of the conversation, so you're understanding where the belief comes from and how to interact with it. On the AI side, we're now going into a different religion, a different belief system. And basically, it's important to understand that in the digital world, you're dealing with frequency of zeros and ones. The power is on or off, and then it is organized in a series, and that series is called bits. And then the bits are what are called code, and the code is what they write, and that's how you're able to move your cursor and see me on the see me. This is technology, right? This is digital technology, right?
Yeah.
It's a series. It's a frequency of zeros and ones that are organized in bits that are then formed into code. And that's why we can see each other and have this podcast delivered. Okay, the issue with artificial intelligence is the question of whether or not it can gain sentience. The word sentience means it's tied to consciousness or the existence of the self or self-awareness.
Right.
Well, the religion that is tied to data, zeros and ones and code, is called dataism. It's the belief that information wants to be free. And since it wants to be free, there should be no restrictions placed on its freedom. So we collect information, and that information is free, and therefore humans are not apex in the dataist world. They are a contributor of information like a bat frequency or a whale frequency or wind, that kind of thing. So animism and dataism have a marriage currently ongoing, an extramarital affair, if you will, going on worldwide and here in the United States. In addition to animism and dataism is a third component, and that's called humanism. And specifically, humanism is the belief that a self exists. And this is critical for your listeners and anyone who's paying attention to understand is dataists and animists do not believe humans have a self. We exist in a parliament of beings, and we are contributing information to that existence. However, humanists do believe in a self, but they do not believe in a higher power that guides the self, that kind of thing, okay? And there are three types of religion within the humanist sect, if you will. Remember, very important, they believe in a self, but do not believe in a higher power. Animist and dataist do not believe in a self and do not believe in a higher power. And so the marriage between the first two is evolving into a relationship with a subsect of the humanist religion called liberal humanism. Liberal humanists believe in individual selves that are apex and should have no restriction on exploring the self. That's why you would see litter boxes and furries and those kinds of things. And I'm not making fun of that. I'm simply saying it's the exploration of the self manifesting,
right.
That religion, okay? And so it's important to understand that when we bring AI into this conversation, it is tied to those three religions and their relationships to the existence of the self or no self, and the idea that there is no higher power. So with AI, the advancement is so fast right now. It is exponentially increasing almost daily in terms of speed of which it is advancing technologically. And so there is a belief, a new type of humanism called techno-humanism. And this techno-humanism is the belief in the marriage of analog and digital. Let me summarize that simply. Biology with technology, marrying, okay? So cutting to the chase, it's humans have a very important question to answer in the 21st century, and that question is going to be posed to us in our lifetime. The speed with which AI develops and its ability to reach human intelligence capacity brings up a very important question when it comes to human meaning. If AI is capable of diagnosing an MRI image faster than your human doctor, which would you choose?
Yeah, and more accurate.
If AI is able to identify health problems through your Fitbit on your wrist faster than you can get a doctor's appointment, which will you choose? If AI is able to do the job better or faster than, say, your Uber driver or your plumber or your attorney or the journalist, it's really a very important question for blue collar and white collar humans to come to the table and to ask the question, what is the meaning of human life if AI reaches the capacity of human intelligence or more than human intelligence? That is going to be a critical question that we have to be at the table, either as Christians or agnostics or whoever, blue collar, white collar, whoever you are. You need to come to that table in the 21st century to define what the meaning of human life is during your lifetime.
Well, obviously, for people that believe there's no God, I want to rewind a little bit and go back to this thought of transhumanism. We know Elon Musk has been developing this brain chip, and if you look at Klaus Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum, he's basically saying that this is a reality, and we're going to be merging technology with humanism. And if you don't believe in a God, no, you don't believe in an afterlife, then you want to do all you can to extend this life. We see it on the natural side, people buying cold baths and just whatever I can do to be more healthy. Look, I'm not against health. I think we should eat well, sleep well, be healthy. Absolutely. But there's a push to go beyond what we know is natural. And as you said, merging technology with biology is I think, a part of what we're going to see with the mark of the beast. Well, I believe in the rapture before that. Thank God. That's my belief. We're out of here. But what I do see is the genie's out of the bottle. We're not going to be able to rewind the clock or stop this. The Bible says in the last days, knowledge shall increase. And, prophecy is self-fulfilling because it's like you guess at it. And then when it's really happening, you go, that's what it is. Because it's far exceeding anything that we could ever do. And we know people are losing their jobs. People are being replaced. But it's also going to dumb down society, which is also a strategic strategy of the enemy to dumb people down and just be dependent on the system. And so, we've got the rich oligarchs at the top running the world and pulling the strings. And so I really see that they're going to be implementing AI as a part of what China is doing currently in surveilling. They're becoming a surveillance state and social scores, things like that. And I think that's also going to tie into, and if it's not the DVE bill, some sort of variant of that to control and lock down people that don't flow with their mantra, their ideology.
Right. So the Elon Musk, Klaus Schwab line is tied to the techno-humanism idea of marrying biology with technology. Yeah. And there is a book called Homo Deus. It's translated Man Gods, written by Yuval Harari, who's very close to Klaus Schwab. But he goes through and describes a lot of what I'm describing in terms of religions and so on and so forth. Effectively, what it is, Pastor, is that they have essentially written you off, and anyone who believes in a higher power have been written off.
Yeah.
So, and this is how they think. They see you as a horse being replaced by cars. Eventually, you'll just walk around the fields and eat the grass, but you don't really have a purpose, a meaning. That's why I was going back to before this was it's really important that we have a conversation about the meaning of human life. What does it mean to be human?
But isn't that what Hitler did to the Jews? Dehumanizing them. So it's easy to eradicate them because they're not human. They're less than human.
This is a constant pattern throughout history, whether it's fascist Hitler or whether it's Puritan Massachusetts or Catholic Spanish Inquisition, whatever. The human nature is the key, and left unself-governed, be very dangerous. And that's what part of the reason why the commission in Washington is so important, that we have that. The issue we have with this debate is that the people who created the technology should not be the ones dictating the policy to safeguard it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, that does not mean I am advocating that they should be excluded from the table. No. What I'm saying is it's important that you have a mom who is labeled an extremist sitting next to a Black Lives Matter activist who is an attorney, sitting next to a plumber who might wear an American flag hat, sitting next to a journalist like Dan Waters from Inlander.com in Spokane. They need to be at this table having a human discussion about humans in the 21st century.
Well, they believe in having the voice, not a voice, and that's our challenge.
That's the challenge: is which voices do you exclude? And in this case, as Homo Deus describes, they have actively and are actively excluding those who believe in a self and a higher power.
Well, and personally, I'm not about doom and gloom. I do think we have to have, the Stockholm, not Stockholm, the paradox of the POW. That he looked at his situation. He took the reality of the facts that he was in, and he wasn't an optimist. He was a realist, because other prisoners would come in and say, well, we're going to be out by Christmas. And Christmas would come and Christmas would go. And then we're going to be out by this day. And that day would come and go. And so what happened is they would be crushed. And he just said, I don't know how long we're going to be here, but I do know I'm going to make it through this. And so, that's kind of my standpoint, that I don't know how much we can do. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it. We need to vote. We need to be present. We need to be a voice. But we got this way because of the silent majority being silent and not using their voice to speak up and letting them know that they deserve a right to sit at the table and be heard.
That is accurate for any demographic of human being. If you go down the rabbit hole that they were created by a higher power, and that there's some kind of meaning either from the higher power or created by the human, or authorized by the higher power to create meaning, or you are a humanist who doesn't believe in a higher power, but you believe you should create meaning, either way, you're still dealing with the human question of what does it mean to be human? That question is coming, and to be a part of that conversation is a part of, like, if you think about it right now, the one thing that the digitalists or the dataists don't consider is the immense amount of light and frequency that exists in the universe. I am uttering a frequency, and that's what you're hearing. Yeah. A lot of people say, did you hear Mark? It's not actually what you hear. They hear a frequency. Now, bats speak or whatever they do at a higher frequency, and we can't hear it because our ears are not designed to hear that frequency. Now, you can use systems and technology so that you can tune in and listen. The key, though, with humans is that we are the only entity on Earth and in the universe that we know of that has the ability to create meaning with frequency. Mm-hmm. Okay? So this is a critical component of being human, and that is when AI is able to, ChatGPT, respond in words, okay? Or it is able to create meaning with words. Think about the ramifications of that. Brazil just admitted that, I believe a city council used ChatGPT to write legislation and actually passed it. So you have artificial intelligence writing law.
Yes.
Okay. What about interpreting the law? Mm-hmm. What if AI is incapable of interpreting? What about enforcement? Now we're talking robots and things like that. But it goes way beyond that. What does it mean to own a car?
Yeah.
Or to own the property? So when you use the AI things to create a graphic, who owns it? Do you own it, or did the AI that created it own it?
Right.
Those questions are coming, and not a matter of 10 years, but a matter of 5 years or less.
Well, let me just say that, we've been using AI for a while. It's just been at a smaller scale. If you use a Google search engine, you're using AI of a lesser scale. But what we did see, and I believe this is a smaller scale of what yet is to come, is we started seeing social policing on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, based on the algorithms and based on the AI in their systems. They would either shadow ban you, they would kick you off the system.
Wait, who's they? It or them?
Exactly. And
was it shadow banning you?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because there's not somebody going good, bad, good. No,
there's an algorithm. That's exactly right.
And so I believe that this is a part of the pre-crime, or hey, this person is red flag. We need to deal with this person because they're a threat. And so obviously some people could look at that and go, yeah, but that could thwart bad things. Well, just like freedom of speech. Freedom of speech does have some downsides, but the upsides are way better, And so freedom comes at a cost, but people are becoming so dependent on government because of the agenda and everything that is put in place. And we know that there's a great challenge ahead of us.
It's an immense challenge. We did a test to discover what the creators of AI, which are humans that organize the code, could we detect bias? And so we did a test. We took Donald Trump and we took Bill Gates, and we had them bow at the altar of Plato, a philosopher from the 370 BC timeframe. And no matter how many different ways we argued with the AI program, it would not put Bill Gates into a posture of humility. Nothing. But with Donald Trump on the knees, bowing down, laying flat, I mean, it was amazing to see the distinction in how AI, through its creator, you could see the bias from the human creator. Now, that is an issue for us to deal with in terms of how far we allow AI to penetrate government.
Yeah.
In terms of legislation, enforcement, and adjudication. But Chief Justice Roberts himself said this week that AI is going to present a massive challenge to the legal system. And he is right, because it is creating words. What do attorneys deal with every day? Words. What do journalists deal with? Words. What do script writers for movies? Words. So white collar folks who are progressive, radical abolitionists are in the same boat we are. And the key is what you said at the beginning was the voice. Who gets to be at that table? So in Washington State, the Attorney General is advancing a commission on AI. But again, he uses the word stakeholder. And then he says civic civil rights advocates. Well, which ones?
Yeah.
And so my concern is with the AI, it is a human problem. It is not a partisan problem. And with the progressivism that is behind Attorney General Ferguson's religion, that is a problem. That's not a check and a balance. And we need to have humans come to the table and not just a select few of humans when it comes to AI.
So obviously, we need to vote. We need to communicate to our legislators. We need to be active in this. We just can't go down silently. And that's one thing that we do as a church. I don't care about tax levies. I care about morality, biblical morality, and that's what we focus on, biblical truths and morality. We don't tell who somebody should vote for. We say this is what the Bible says what we should vote for. I just say that just so, anybody out there can understand my approach. But I also know that I believe, and this is just a biblical pastoral perspective, I believe the world's going to get worse. I think AI is going to increase. I think these things are going to continue to go because genie's out of the bottle. But I also believe these are going to be some of the finest days of the church to show the truth and the power of who God is in the face of this rebellious, wicked agenda that is really Antichrist. Exactly is what it is. So, man, I really appreciate you, Mark. I appreciate the work that you're doing. You are like a siren in the night, helping people understand what's going on. And I appreciate your vigilance and your heart to help strengthen people and let them know that they do have a voice and they do have a right to be at the table. And we need that.
They absolutely do. Every human, if they're created by a god or if they believe that they came from an amoeba, every human has the ability to create a frequency to develop meaning. That is what makes us unique as humans, that we understand. Now, AI changes that in the long term. So being at the table, number one, the AI commission that's coming, it's supposedly bipartisan. Representative Travis Couture on the House side and Senator Nguyen from on the Senate side are co-sponsoring the Attorney General's recommendation for this commission. One thing that you can do is you can get involved with advocating for who participates and how we participate as humans with that commission. Mm-hmm. Or you can create in your community, separate and independent and distinctly from that AI commission, your community commission, either ad hoc or through your school, city, or county governments. It's going to affect school government. This is the most under-recognized effort of what is being done with AI when it comes to education. So for parents that are concerned about libraries and books and whatever, how is artificial intelligence going to be training your children in the future? Have your school board put together a commission to look at it and put you on that commission. Have your city commit. It's going to affect how the city operates and what it does with data and county. Number two is, I think, people like Brian Haywood, for example, who ran a whole bunch of initiatives and got thousands and thousands of signatures. Maybe the next initiative is to define person in the Constitution of Washington. What about the word religion, Pastor? We tend to think of the word religion as I believe in a God, but actually I can make the religion as I believe in a tree, or I believe in data. And we talk about the separation of church and state. What if we were able to define religion as anything one believes in, period? Mm-hmm. Now we can say to public schools, hey, this is a religion that you're teaching and you're receiving public funds to do that. Well, Christians can't introduce their religion. Yeah. Well, neither can you. And so we'll pull the funds, or you can stop teaching that as a religion, or you can teach it as, hey, there's a Christian religion, there's an animist religion, there's this religion. Make your own choice, young person, kind of concept. The other is when it comes to AI is we need to get really clear, Pastor, on what it means to own property, copyrights, patents. In Brazil, there is a company called Dictador that has a CEO that is 100% AI. In Hong Kong, In Hong Kong, there is a company called Deep Venture Capital where a sitting board member has a vote is 100% AI.
Wow.
In the United States, there is a pop singer whose name is Nunuri, is 100% AI and has a contract with Sony Records.
Wow.
My point is that we should come to the table, define religion, define personhood, and at the same time, what does it mean to be a human when it comes to copyrights, patents, ownership, being members of a corporation, CEO, enforcement? These are all great questions that are going to face us in our lifetime. And as long as we're part of the conversation, I'm not saying a seat at the table with bad guys. That's not what I mean. I'm saying as long as we are uttering our frequency, like Adam did in the garden, naming animals.
Yeah.
It's a very simple thing, but he was creating meaning because that's how humans do things. We utter frequency and we create meaning, and we're doing it now. It's such a glorious, amazing, it's an amazing thing. Even Yuval Harari in Homo Deus, he's uttering frequency. He's describing his religion. It has impact around the world.
Yeah.
But so do our words. So do you, and so does everyone else in the state.
Right on. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mark Herr, Center for Self-Governance. Thank you so much for being on, and let's have an amazing 2024.
Absolutely. You too, sir. Happy New Year's and best wishes to you guys on the west side of Washington.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, guys, that's Truth is Freedom. Thank you for being a part of this message, and let's get it out. Like, share, subscribe. Give me a review. Help me, and that way we can help get this message out. Thank you. God bless.